On Christmas Eve, 1971, 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke prepared to board a flight with her mother. Unaware, she was stepping into a nightmare. They were leaving Lima, Peru, heading toward Pucallpa, a routine trip that would become historic. The airline insisted they could beat the storm forming over the Andes. Liftoff seemed normal, but above those clouds, chaos waited. Minutes later, the plane flew straight into a monstrous thunderstorm. Lightning danced around the aircraft as passengers prayed for calm. A lightning bolt hit the right wing, triggering a fatal structural failure. The plane began tearing apart, thousands of feet above the rainforest. Juliane felt herself ejected into open air. Falling through a stormy void, the Amazon canopy broke her fall, making her the only survivor. Against all odds, she regained consciousness with a broken collarbone and deep cuts. Concussed and alone, she could barely piece together what happened. She was now deep in the Peruvian Amazon, one of the most unforgiving jungles on Earth. Her first instinct was simple: look for survivors, but the silence was absolute. Then she remembered her father's jungle survival lesson. Follow water, it leads to help. So she began following a tiny creek, hoping it led to civilization. But the Amazon was merciless. Mosquitoes swarmed her wounds. Her injuries worsened, and she fought exhaustion with every step. Night one was brutal, alone, soaked and terrified by jungle sounds. But she pushed on, determined to survive for her mother. Her only hope was the water. She knew she must follow the creek until it became a navigable river. Water meant navigation and a path to salvation, but it also meant facing hidden jungle dangers. She was constantly vigilant. Predators like caimans and anacondas observed her silently from the depths. The constant battle against the humid environment and its insects drained her meager energy reserves. Dehydrated and starving, she had to rely solely on the running water for sustenance. By the third day, the creek had noticeably widened. This was the proof she desperately needed. The jungle occasionally revealed painful reminders of the crash, scattered fragments of the flight. She searched the surrounding area, but the reality was absolute. There were no other survivors to be found. Despite the exhaustion and grief, she knew stopping meant failure. Her instincts drove her onward. Every step along the rising river carried her farther from the site of the crash and closer to possible salvation. By day 5, the current was stronger, pushing her along. She followed its path faithfully. The humidity and lack of sterile care meant her minor injuries became infected, causing fever and distress. In one injury, she discovered an unsettling infestation that required immediate, though painful, action. The physical pain was matched by the mental battle. Quitting was not an option she allowed herself. She kept her life tethered only by drinking the river water, though it provided no nutritional energy. The water channel was now wide and moving swiftly, confirming she was heading down a major waterway. She collapsed briefly on the riverbank, every movement requiring immense, agonizing effort. As she rested, a sound cut through the natural background noise, a faint mechanical roar. It was the definite sound of a powerful river, likely connected to human activity. The wider the river, the closer she was to reaching the remote communities that depended on it. By day 9, severe dehydration and exhaustion were causing minor hallucinations. She knew she was at the absolute limit of her endurance, but surrender meant death. Then, in the distance, a sight so unexpected it barely registered as real. A small, dilapidated fisherman's hut, the first sign of human construction in 10 agonizing days. She approached cautiously, unsure if the shelter was a source of danger or salvation. Inside the basic structure, she found a glimmer of hope, a small container of fuel and a boat engine. Using the fuel to sterilize her most infected wound, she performed a necessary, albeit extremely painful, survival procedure. Exhaustion finally claimed her. She collapsed inside the hut, too weak to care what came next. After a long, uncertain night, the sound of human voices finally broke the silence of the jungle. 3 local lumbermen, working their river route, had discovered her, alive but barely recognizable. They could not comprehend how anyone could survive both a fall from the sky and 10 days in the wilderness. Treating her gently, they prepared to take her on the long, necessary journey downriver to medical help. Hours passed as the small boat navigated the complex, winding paths of the Amazonian river system. The girl was safe, but her body was still reeling from shock, injury, and starvation. Finally, they reached a small, remote settlement with communication access to the outside world. From there, the unbelievable news of the lone survivor of the LANSA Flight 508 was relayed. Medical teams were alerted and rushed to fly her out immediately for critical treatment. Her recovery was slow, requiring weeks of care, but she had achieved the miraculous. It was only then, in the safety of a hospital, that she learned the devastating truth. She was the only one. Juliane Koepcke's story stands today as one of the most astonishing and singular survival miracles in human history.